we would morally blame volcanoes that destroyed people's houses, and we would praise the sun when it was a nice day.
Praise the sun!
And there's another problem too. Mandeville's theory seems like an empirical claim. He's saying something about the world. He's saying this is the way the world is. So where's his evidence for it?
It doesn't matter what I believe. It only matters what I can prove.
We've been offering counterexamples and opposing evidence so far, and Mandeville keeps saying, no, that actually counts in favour of my theory. So what will actually count as evidence against this? It seems like Mandeville hasn't built in what philosophers call a falsifying criterion. There's no evidence that could disprove his theory. His theory is true whatever the evidence says. And that's kinda cheating. If Mandeville puts forward a theory about the way the world is, then he's got to allow some evidence to count against it. Even if that evidence never turns up, if it's in principle impossible, then the state of affairs that the theory describes will never be different from the state of affairs that we observe. So it's just like saying, the world is the way the world is. Which is kind of pointless. What do you guys think? Is all moral action selfishly motivated? Is that really a big deal for morality? Let me know what you think in the comments. You can also let me know whether you'd like the next episode to be about how do names work, or is democracy a human right? You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook, subscribe to join the PSTFanz, and if you are capable of generosity, you should hit that like button. There was a lot of dialogue taking place in the comments section of our last episode, so let's see what you guys had to say about morality, God, and the Euthyphro dilemma. Abhijit Borkar wondered whether morality might have an evolutionary origin in preserving the group. Quite a lot of evolutionary scientists do think that actually, since obviously any society which doesn't have prescriptions against things like random murder won't survive to breed. So if you like, there's a selection pressure to refrain from just randomly murdering other people. It might also explain some cases of altruism in a close-knit community where lots of people are closely related. Acting in defense of other people at your own expense might preserve your genes, even though those genes are actually in someone else's body. That's quite an interesting field. However, Jel van Marienboer wondered whether an evolutionary account of morality is any more stable than the God account of morality that we were debating last time. If morality comes from God, then it's going to be subject to a lot of change depending on God's whim, maybe. But if it's based on evolution, then evolution changes things over time, so maybe morality is still too flexible on that account. I do think that's a really, really interesting point. I would say that morality is more secure on the evolutionary origin model than on the God model, because if morality comes from God, then God could just change anything, whereas certain things like prescriptions against random murder are always going to be bad for the group, so evolution will always tend to weed those things out. But yeah, that's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up. Herodot von Halikarnas said that even if moral commands do come from God, you still have to decide whether or not it's right to follow them, so that means you must already have some kind of morality built in. Yes, that's an absolutely brilliant point. I mean, I agree with you. When God says, thou shalt not kill, it's not like all the Jews in the desert turn around and went like, oh, really? I thought that was fine. Sorry, man. Itinerant Philosopher said that God could be capable of changing morality, but just chose not to. The problem with that is that morality is then, in principle, revisable, and we may not want it to be that flexible, even if that state of affairs never comes to pass. Kyle Chapman accepted one of the horns of the Euthyphro dilemma and said, yes, morality is revisable by God, because if God changed its mind about the moral rules, we would all have our intuitions changed to go along with it, and that would end up changing morality. I don't know, it seems like even if everyone in the universe, including God, thought that slavery was okay, it still wouldn't be okay. I mean, people used to think that slavery was okay, and now we say, well, no, even though everyone thought that, they were wrong. Skeethization, thank you for your endorsement. That means a lot to me. That's all we've got time for this week. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!